Everybody, this is the regular board meeting of September 19th, 2024. It is now 4:03. We'll begin roll call.
President Cortese,
Here.
Vice President Joe,
Here.
Clerk Lay,
Here.
Member Chavez,
Here.
Member Herrera.
Here.
Okay, thank you. Are there any members of the public who would like to provide public comment to the board on a closed session agenda item? I do see that we do have someone. So I have a little blurb to read first. Members of the public may participate and comment as follows. In-person public comment may be made in person in the boardroom by filling out a public speaker request form located at the entrance of the meeting room, which you have already done. You may raise your virtual hand in Zoom for those who are online to request to speak and offer your comments in real time. You will have 2 minutes to speak. Members of the community may also submit comments electronically online before or during the meeting with a 1,000 character limit by accessing the agenda link to the form on the district's homepage. Please reference the agenda number in your written comments. Please note regular and special meetings of the Board of Trustees and board study sessions are streamed live on meeting nights and are also available for viewing the day after the meeting by accessing the district's YouTube channel listed on the district's webpage at ESUHSD.org under the quick links section. The board is not able to respond to items that are not on the agenda or any personnel issues. Your comment will be read into the record and will be directed to the superintendent and or the appropriate staff member for response. Interpretation of this meeting in Spanish and Vietnamese can be heard by accessing the link and following the instructions shown on the agenda and the district's website. So we do have one speaker today. I'll call Jose Silva. Please come up and probably need to turn on the mic. Just hit the button till it's green. There we go.
Hi, good afternoon, Madam President, board members and superintendent. For the record, my name is Jose Silva. I'm simply here to introduce myself. I am the new principal at Luis Valdez Leadership Academy. I've been here in California for the second time now, for a couple of months, coming from Oregon. And before that, I was in Clark County School District in Las Vegas for about 15 years. I'm proud to be the new principal there, and I welcome you all to stop by and visit anytime. And I know we're scheduled for a visit from the East Side District on November 12th. So looking forward to that. So I just simply came over to say hello and looking forward to getting to know you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Welcome. And thank you for being here.
You know, that's a broadcast quality voice.
Okay, very good. Well, there being no other business before the board, we will recess to closed session. And welcome, everybody. We're back from our executive session, and we're going to begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. So please stand and join me. Hi. Thank you. Welcome to the regular board meeting of September 19th, 2024. Members of the public, please submit your public comment as follows. In-person public comment may be made in person in the boardroom by filling out a public speaker request form located at the entrance of the meeting room. It looks like this. We have a goldenrod one for adults and a yellow one for students because we listen to students first so they could get back and do their homework and whatever. You may raise your virtual hand in Zoom for those who are online to request to speak and offer your comment in real time. You will have 2 minutes to speak. You may also submit comments electronically online before or during the meeting with a 1,000 character limit by accessing the agenda link to the form on the district's homepage. Please reference the agenda number in your written comment. Agenda item number, that is. Okay, please note, regular and special board meetings, special meetings of the Board of Trustees and board study sessions are streamed live on meeting nights and are also available for viewing the day after the meeting by accessing the district's YouTube channel listed in the district's webpage at ESUHSD.org under the quick links section. The board is not able to respond to items that are not on the agenda or any personnel issues. Your comment will be read into the record and will be directed to the superintendent and/or the appropriate staff member for response. Interpretation of this meeting in Spanish and Vietnamese can be heard by accessing the link and following the instructions shown on the agenda and the district's website. So could I ask everybody to please step inside because we can't block the doors because of fire safety issues. So if you're standing in the doorway, if you could just step, there's room inside. You're actually even welcome to sit on the floor if you want. That's great. Okay, thank you. And now we are moving on to item 501. Mr. Superintendent, is there anything that we need to remove from the agenda tonight?
No changes recommended by
Okay,
administration.
very good. Now, very exciting, we're moving on to 6.01, which is where we get to recognize the incredible performance of our student athletes. And we're so glad you're here tonight. And Mr. Superintendent, please let us know who did what this year or last year, I guess, right?
Last year.
Spring, yeah.
Yeah, these people did some things. They did some stuff. You see those t-shirts that say undefeated? Not bad. Pretty cool. Hey, congratulations to everybody in the room, coaches, parents, administrators, athletes. Give yourselves a round of applause for just doing good stuff. I mean, that's the fun. It is be in our jobs as we get to, go and visit all the different schools, see the different facilities. You see teams practicing all the time after school, working hard, getting after it, stopping home for boba on the way there, and then going home and doing the homework. It's a fantastic thing. And you guys did that. Awesome. Proud of you. Now let's recognize some folks. Could I ask the members of the board to just come forward? Because as we introduce these good people, we're going to ask that you take a photo with them. If you're a team, come up as a team. If you're an administrator here, please come on up. Parents, I see the iPhones are already out. I'm going to point at you. Thank you for recording what I'm saying. Nice. That's me. Okay, fantastic. When your athlete comes up, feel free to stand right here and come up and take a picture. Let's not be shy, right? Good things. All right, let's start. I'll check this out. Spring Sports 2024. Let's just start with this. Oh my goodness. Are the Evergreen Cougars in the house? Wow. Are the Evergreen Valley Cougars in the house? Okay, very good. Evergreen Valley High School. Let's recognize badminton team, Mount Hamilton Division, Blossom Valley Athletic League champions. Come up, champions. Now, we also from Evergreen Valley High School have the girls track team, who in the Santa Teresa division, again, champions of the Blossom Valley Athletic League. So congratulations to both the badminton team and the girls track team for great work last spring. And let's do it again this year, yeah? I'm a little jealous on this next one. Oh, I'm a little jealous on this next one. I gotta be honest. We got a photo first for, it sounds like they're demanding it, like, you were there. All right. For 7 years, I was the principal at James Lake High School. Go Comets. Still got my shirts and everything. Got my baseball jersey. It's got number 44 on the back. I never got to say this. Blossom Valley Athletic League champions, West Valley Division, James Lick Baseball. Congratulations. Are there any comments in the house? Then what are we doing sitting down? Come on up. Let's get into orbit. All right, you are in the city, We're not done yet. The Raiders did some things last year. Check this out. Central Coast Discus Champion. Let me hear that, say that again. Central Coast Section Discus Champion and California Interscholastic Federation State Championship Qualifier for Discus, Kyler Headley, Silver Creek High School. Also, California Interscholastic Federation State Championship Qualifier, Brielle Mosley from Silver Creek High School. Check this one out. Blossom Valley Athletic League champions, West Valley Division, volleyball, went to the Santa Teresa High School boys volleyball team. Come on. Even there, still. We got a list. Principal Pollock, you might as well come up right now. My goodness. From the Blossom Valley Athletic League champions from the Santa Teresa East Division for badminton, Yerba Buena High School's badminton team. Congratulations. Is that us? Yes, that's you. Come on up. Principal Pollock, feel free to stay right there because you got more warriors coming up. First place league finals, badminton girls doubles, Hak Nguyen and Han Nguyen of Yerba Buena High School. Here they come. Hey, coach and principal, you might want to stay up there. Because again, first place league finals and California Interscholastic Federation State Championship qualifiers in boys, badminton boys doubles, Guang Nam and Victor Tron. Thank you very much. Incredible work by our administration, staff, parents, everybody who supports these athletes. Thank you. And to the athletes that kept your studies real and really held it down, and whether it was on the court or on the field, on the track, incredibly proud of you. Thanks for representing Eastside as well as you did, as well as your school. And with many of you, those family names on the back means a lot. Thank you for that. Before you leave, I do got to ask, does anybody in this room know what the Spartan Eastside Promise is? Has anybody heard of that? Anybody in the room? Anybody in the room? You've heard of that? What is that? Can anybody help her out and tell us what the Spartan Eastside Promise is? It's a guaranteed admission to San Jose State University. Do you know what you have to do to get that guarantee? One, you have to be a student in Eastside because it's only available for Eastside students in our schools. Does anybody else know what you have to do to meet the promise? Yeah, what you have? You have to meet the A through G requirements. And when you talk with your counselors, make sure you're taking those A through G classes, and you have to pass them with what grade? I heard it. I say it out loud. Don't whisper it. C or better. Families, athletes, students, all 20,000 of you across the East Side. The Spartan East Side Promise is available to you. And I can't look at you tonight and celebrate your victories without letting you know about that opportunity and make sure you have it. Make sure you're taking A through G classes, talk with your counselor, make sure that look on your transcript, pass with the C or better. And in your senior year, you apply to San Jose State by November 30th. Look, we still got 2 months to go. And you are in. You are in, and college is available for you. Take advantage. You guys have done great things already. Check out these resumes. That championship after your name. Come on. Reach for the promise. We're very proud of you. Let's give them all one final round of applause. That's good. That's good. Now, if you want to stay for the rest of the meeting, you can. But if you don't, when I move this over, that's your time to sneak out. All right. Talk to you.
Okay. Well, that was fantastic. Now let's move on to item 701. Katie, the floor is yours. Tell us about what's going on with the Student Governing Board.
Hi, everyone. As sort of a preview to this board meeting, SGB was introduced to the difference between state and community funded schools and where our district stands budget wise for the next few years. And we had a discussion with the superintendent, with the board members and Mr. Huen about finances that we were never aware of. And we were, all of SGB was pretty much shocked at the inequities between our district and others, and anger that the system is created so that different school districts receive different amounts of money per student. And after this discussion, everyone within SGB felt like this was a discussion many other students should deserve to be a part of and should be aware of. So we are currently working on an infographic summarizing what we learned at the past discussion, and as well as having further conversations with our peers at our own respective schools. And then on other topics, we're having our leadership training this Saturday, which I have been talking about for a very long time. But that's where we plan to start brainstorming what we want to tackle this year. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Katie. Now we move on to 8.01. Mr. Superintendent, is there anything that we want to hear out of order?
There's not.
Okay, very good. I move on to 802, presentation, discussion, and our action to accept the unaudited actual financial report for fiscal year 23-24. We'll turn over to Mr. Nguyen.
Thank you, Madam President. Tom Nguyen, Associate Superintendent of Business Services for Eastside Union High School District. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to present our 23-24 unaudited actuals report. Like we're ready to roll, Mr. Superintendent. Okay. So what's unusual about this year versus compared to prior years is that this is our budget cycle. And unlike previous years where it's highlighted in red, there are two additional items that was requested from the county because we are under conditional approval from the county for our 24-25 budget. And so with that, we're not only presenting our annual financial report, which commonly known as the unaudited actuals, but also later on in the agenda, our revised fiscal solvency plan, and then our revised multi-year projections, and then budget as well. Then after that, we get to work on our first interim report, which is due December. And so we will present that December 17th, the board meeting. And then as you can see, the rest of the cycle follows the normal pattern that we have to follow each and every year. But highlighted in red is what is abnormal for us this year. Next slide. Nope. I'll do my hand with, I'm sorry. The unaudited actuals, what we're going to highlight are our historic enrollment and attendance, are some highlights of revenues and expenditures for the past year, and then our revised multi-year projection, as I stated before, and then what the next steps are. So in layman's terms, the unaudited actuals is essentially after the close of our books. It's when we reconcile our expenditures, revenues for the 23-24 school year. Staff has been extremely busy since the end of the school year, end of the fiscal year, up until now, to either make adjustments or close our books. And we were able to do that. What this is it's an unaudited actual. Our auditors will come in. Thanks, Doug. Where's that Doug? Great. No, I mean it. I mean it. That kind of broke the tension a little bit. So thank you. So these are unaudited actuals, and essentially they're preliminary. They're final as final can be, but they are preliminary, right? And our auditors will come in starting September, late September, and then they'll work through December to go through our books to make sure that we've expensed appropriately, spent appropriately, and then they will present to us our actual audited actuals come January. And then what this does also is that it allows us to then finalizes, again, our books and then help us inform our budget cycle process for the next coming years. It then does inform our multi-year projection and our budget and of course our fiscal solvency plan. All right, so historical enrollment. This shouldn't come as a surprise to many of us, but the state has had a downtrend in overall enrollment for students. And I want to highlight from 2019 to 2020, up until the end of last year, there's a significant drop, leading up to and then through the pandemic. The state overall lost about 5.3% of its total enrollment of students. When we look at our own local data, during that same period of time, from 1920 through 23-24, we've lost 9.3% of our students. And so almost double that of the state average. And so, the state overall is losing students. We overall are losing more students or at a faster rate than the state is. When you look at, compared to when we had a high of about 25,000 students in 2008, 2009, up until now, we've lost about 18.5, almost 19% of our student population, okay? And the trend is continuing to slide downwards. So there isn't any indicator that it's going to swing back up again. Then we look at our attendance, and as you know, our state is one of only 7 states that funds schools based upon attendance rates and not enrollment. And what that does is it essentially takes our total enrollment numbers, multiplied by our average attendance, and that's the ADA or the number that we get, right? Unfortunately, as a system and as a school, we have to staff at 100%. We have to turn on the lights 100% of the time. We have to operate our facilities at 100%. We have to assume that every student will come to us, and we have to hire staff at 100%. Unfortunately, that doesn't happen. There's a variance of about 8%. So essentially, we're in the hole from that perspective, right? As far as how much we have to staff for versus how many students actually show up. Again, hopefully that changes. There's a bill at the state right now that's kind of churning through, then hopefully it gets passed, that they're going to explore the possibility of changing the funding model from an enrollment basis to an attendance process. So hopefully that there's some leeway there, but we'll see. It's been on and off for a few years now, and so perhaps there's some traction. But as you can see, with our pandemic, we've dropped down right as we exited to about 92%. Our historic average hovers about 95, 94-ish percentage. Fortunately, what looks positive is from last year, we did tick up at about 0.5%. Hopefully that trend continues, continues. And for this year and moving forward, we can continue to slide back up, back to our norm, right? And so it will take some time to get back up to where we were prior to the pandemic.
I'm sure that the staff and administration is looking at this, but do we have any sense of why? I mean, obviously we had a pandemic between then and now, but do we have a sense of why the gap between what was fairly stable in the past, around 95%?
A lot of students didn't return after the pandemic. There were a lot of hesitancy of coming back to school. And it's not just within our district, but statewide, school districts are seeing a sharp decrease in overall attendance. But it's slowly creeping back up.
So students are enrolled, but they're just not coming,
They're not coming.
not showing up for school.
Correct.
Okay, so is
Yeah.
this chronic absenteeism or just
Both proximity and just absences.
just general absences?
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah. And this is a system-wide issue, not just an East Side challenge.
okay.
What does all the school district do to mitigate that impact?
We have, we have attendance recovery programs, Saturday school, a robust campaign around attendance, which we are currently operating. And so it's get out and calling parents and then offering supportive services, wraparound services to make sure that they come to school. And then offering makeup sessions when they have to. The state actually did implement some alternatives to attendance recovery, which is we're still getting additional details. And so they recognize that there's an attendance issue across the system. And so they've implemented a couple laws that are going to change how we recover attendance, but that's working its way through the system now.
Is the statistics consistent with across our districts or some school more than others?
Well, some schools do have a higher attendance rate than others, but this is our general overall district average, what you see on the chart.
What I'm driving at is if there are difference between, say, school A versus school B, what are school A is doing that's different from school B? And the second portion of that is, at least in my observation when I visit the school, it's not that student doesn't show up to school, they don't show up to class, right? I mean, we see a high number of students that are on our campus, but not in the classroom.
So that factor is not calculated in these metrics. So student attendance rate is captured when students attend a class. So, and so if they are absent for the entire day, then it would impact our attendance number. If students show up for a couple classes during that day, then we still capture that attendance. And so that the phenomenon that you speak of doesn't impact our bottom line number when it comes to attendance. As far as our schools averages, we have historic averages that do indicate, certain schools have a higher attendance rate than others. It typically follows the norm of, either higher socioeconomic schools versus lower, et cetera. Some schools have a more robust attendance recovery program, a greater level of outreach. And so there are variables to each of each of our schools. But this is the overall district average. Mm-hmm. So this shows our general fund revenues for this past year. And so it's broken down by both unrestricted and restricted funds. And so you can kind of see for yourself, there's a book that's attached with it as well. You can see where we get our sources of funding from various pockets. And then our revenues. So this is a comparison between what we estimated and what we actually came in at, right? And so, of course, the budget, when we develop budget, it's based on projections and it's based on an imperfect system. And what I like to think is we're creatures of imperfectness, right? We're humans. We're all fallible and we're imperfect creatures in an imperfect system asked to do something that's very precise and perfect. And that's in itself is a significant challenge. And so, of course, there's going to be variables when it comes to what is projected and then what actually happens a year later, right? And there's so many different things that can alter or change within the course of a school year that then tweaks these numbers. And so this shows our variances between what we thought we were going to receive and what we actually received, and it shows the various levels and various funding sources. Next slide. This is on the expense side. So again, what we projected of what we would expend to what actually occurred. There's a total variance of about $7.3 million. And so we spent less than what we had projected overall for the year. This shows both of our unrestricted and restricted. Our revenues came in at 382, and I'm not gonna walk down all the numbers for you, but essentially what that entails, the bottom line number at the very bottom right, is that our ending fund balance is now at $118.9 million, or 119 rounded up. This leads us into our multi-year projections. And so the 119 is that ending fund balance from the prior slide. Gets carried up here. This is what we're starting off with. This is our reality today as we know it. And then our projected revenues, you can see in our projected expenditures. And then it shows to what level we are projected to deficit spend and how much fund balance we'll have projected by the end of this year. Now, what the public and board has to understand, this is a very living document, right? And as I mentioned earlier, between now and December, there will be a lot more work put into this budget and there will be revisions. It's going to change. We know that. It changes every year from now to December, from December to March, from March to May, and then from May to final budget adoption. And so this is a living, breathing document. And then when you see our multi-year That 70.8 million gets carried over to the start of the 25-26 school year. Again, our projected revenues compared to our projected expenditures, and then our projected deficit spending level, and then what we ended up with as far as our fund balance, 19.9 at the end of year 2. Then at the end of year 3, that number gets carried forward. And then again, the next set of our projected revenues and projected expenditures, and then projected deficits. If nothing changes, this leads us to essentially a negative fund balance of negative $39 million. The state requires our district to have a 3% reserve, which for us amounts to $12.2 million. Therefore, our total budget imbalance is $51.1 million projected at this point. The next slide kind of addresses the fiscal solvency plan that will come to at a later agenda item. And so what this illustrates is if we implement the solvency plan as is, assuming these numbers, and that's what it would look like. So that if we made 3 million in cuts for this year, then 3 plus another 10 next year, then 3 plus, not 3 addition, but retain that 3, right? And not bring it back. Retain that 10, not bring those cuts back, and make an additional 23, then that would impact our bottom line number, and we'll be at $13 million, which is a hair above our statutory reserve. But that does get us back into balance, so to speak. Okay. The next steps are we'll continue to have our budget advisory committee meetings starting October. Of course, that part of that meeting and part of that group is going to help us inform, and we look forward to working with our stakeholders and to collaborate on what these budget reductions or what these savings will look like. We will have a revised fiscal solvency plan that the next 2 items that is due to the county on October 8th. This is our last board meeting before that. So at the next couple of agenda items, if it gets approved, then we will send those documents to the County Office of Education. Then our first interim report is, like I said, to the 17th, and then we then follow back into the normal process of our budget adoption. Before I end it, the completing of the unaudited actuals is a Herculean task, as is normally. It's a big deal, right? Because we have to make sure our numbers are right and reconcile our books. This year, there was an added responsibility or an added burden placed upon us and staff to produce, a new budget, new multi-year projection, new fiscal solvency plan. And so I do want to thank publicly Silvia Pelayo, who is our Director of Finance, and her entire team. It took a massive effort on all business part. And people who chip in that you normally wouldn't think chipped in, trust me, we're going to know, right? But everyone from technology to maintenance, they all had a role in closing our books and getting our numbers where they're at. So it's her team and the business staff, and they've done a marvelous job at closing the books and then producing the documents before you today. Okay. Thank you. Don't forget Doug. Really, Doug. Thank you.
All right, thank you for the presentation. Colleagues, any questions or comments?
None, except, whenever we get these kind of reports, I'm always struck by how much work goes into, because, any change just ripples through these numbers and changes everything. And I used to work on these budgets for city governments and county governments when I was active in my career. And so I'm really familiar with what it takes to do this, so appreciate the work.
Thank you.
Tom, so if the partial tax will be passed in November, then this number will be changing and recalculated, right?
Yes, if it does pass, then it will impact our revenue side, and then that would then impact the next 3 years. And so again, it will shift. And then any other kind of changes, as Board Member Herrera says, any changes that we make, year 1 will reverberate through years 2 and 3. And so expect this document to change between now and December. And hopefully the partial tax passes.
I keep our finger crossed. Thank you.
You do have one online comment.
Okay.
Public comment from staff member Thomas Brittendahl. I am frustrated that once again, we are in the same position that we've been in over the previous years. Once again, we have a reserve fund that increased after a contentious bargaining year where the superintendents used the budget as a tool to argue against a reasonable salary increase for staff. We went from a projected deficit of about $17 million in March to a $10 million surplus at the end of the year. I understand that circumstances change. I understand that the county has taken a much greater interest in our finances than years past. And I'm happy that we have new leadership in business services. But as a bargaining unit leader, it is impossible to look upon these unaudited actuals in conjunction with the district's past use of the budget and not feel jaded and distrustful going into this year's bargaining session. That is the end of online public comment.
Okay, thank you. I think we just need a motion to accept the,
Move for,
did you? So, we could hear you on 803 because that's a similar
or you
topic.
could just speak and turn in the paper.
Okay, yeah, let's do that. Come on up. Yeah.
Mr. Quinn, thanks for the report. I am curious if you could speak to, like, on slide 12, because Brittendahl brings it up to this, we ended with a 10 million increase. And then we look at a projected deficit spending of 45.2 million. Excuse me, I'm on slide 12. I guess maybe the numbers are different. I see it. Sure, thank you. There in the little corner, it says 12. Anyway, what is your best guess? Because I mean, I understand and I appreciate you starting the talk off with, this is an imperfect process. We don't get this perfect. What do you anticipate this 45 million to be off by? Like, if you were going to guess how far off our estimate is, do you have a way of guessing the variation from your or this budget's projected net decrease from what might actually happen and what might we actually see in the fall of 25? Thanks.
So ordinarily, public comment is just
For you.
comment and not really questions, but
Thank you.
I think if you're willing, Tom, I think that's probably.
Thank you,
that's
Board
okay.
Member
All right.
Cortese. I appreciate learning about this process too, so thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
So just to address her question real quick, it's the guess, so to speak, is going to be further refined as we move along through our budget development process. And so between now and December, with more details, with up-to-date year-to-date expenditures and revenues, then we'll have a better idea. But at this point, those numbers are those numbers.
Tom, there's a process in the budget where we get like the updated, there's a few times a year, right? What are those times? I feel like another one is like December.
Yeah, that's the
Is that-
first,
Was it up here?
yeah, first interim.
December, second interim in March.
Okay,
Correct.
so I bring that up partially to address the question. These are the different moments in time where we'll get updates, and it's a numerous amount of reasons why they change. But if you want to keep on following, these are good moments to follow them. The next one will be December 2024.
December 17th board meeting.
17.
Also, when the governor releases his proposed budget in January, that makes all the numbers change.
Correct.
Okay, so now I forgot who made the motion already. Okay, motion by Herrera, second by Doe,
To accept, approve. the
to accept
unaudited.
the unaudited actual financial report for fiscal year 23-24. Katie, how do you vote?
Aye.
Okay, board?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? All right, that passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Nguyen. And I guess you might as well stay up there. 803,
Yeah.
discussion and or action to adopt resolution 2425-04 to confirm Eastside Union High School District's commitment to fiscal solvency.
And as I spoke to this before, this is our new fiscal solvency plan that the county requires of us to be submitted by October 8th. In detail are the planned budget reductions or savings through the next 3 years to get us back to solvency or get us back into positive budget status.
And with this resolvency plan, I want to make it clear to the public that yes, there are items in here that call for reduction in force within this fiscal resolvency plan and fiscal stabilization, but the board is not actually taking action on those cuts tonight, nor positions been identified, but in working with the county and that new level of oversight that was mentioned, as well as indicated in the prior presentation by Mr. Nguyen, this is something that the county is saying, currently you look to be $52 million 3 years out. And so we need to see the plan now, as they now are the new holders of those that have to authorize our fiscal condition.
The reason that this wasn't posted until yesterday is that they literally were, the fiscal expert was negotiating these
We were working with the
change-
fiscal expert on this.
until yesterday late afternoon, so. Okay,
And in that conversations, the county fiscal expert is in agreement that this would satisfy their requirement for the October 8th.
Yes.
okay, very good. We do have a public comment. I will call Julio Pardo. And welcome CSEA.
Okay, good evening, Board. Mr. Vanderzee, Julio Pardo, Chapter 187 President, CSCA. I'd just like to talk about what we didn't see up here for this presentation, is the fact that in looking at the projected reductions in force by this district, that the classified employees are approximately 20% of that. So the numbers I saw were 24 classified, 93 for certificated management, and that means certificated and management, not just certificated management. Part of the thing I was looking at, if you look at the last presentation for item 8.02, in slide 10, I believe it was, you'll notice that the classified employees actually saved the district money. And over the years, this district has constantly said, we're going to have a deficit, that we're going to have this much money left over, and every year it grows and it grows and it grows. The next 3 years, according to the district, that it's going to be reduced. But why did that money grow? Well, I'm going to give the district some credit for finding ways to save money, but a lot of that credit becomes because classified took a lot of hits and suffered the brunt of having less people work in positions that helped the district save money. And so because of that, of the extra work of classified employees, the district was able to save more money and actually grow their balance. And because that balance a few years ago was near $100 million, that's what helped save this district now from being even worse off with a deficit in the next few years. So I'm hoping that if you look at those numbers over the last probably 16 years, you'll see that classified helped save the district quite a bit of money. So when it comes to making these RIFs, I'm hoping that the board will take that into consideration. I understand 20%. That's pretty good for us, but it's still 24 positions that we would lose. We have plans that can maybe help this district save more money so that we can maybe reduce that number. And I realize that we'd want to go for everybody, but at this point, because we are shorthanded in so many positions, I would hope we can save some of that money to make sure we don't lose even more people in the classified force. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pardo. Colleagues, any comments or anything on 803? Okay, I just need a motion then.
So if I may ask Mr. Pardo, just a clarifications. What you're asking for is delineated or clarifications on the exact positions that separate the certificate and the management rather than lump those two together. Am I correct?
No. He's just asking for us to be mindful of the contributions of CSEA and the impact of CSEA on this whole process.
I
believe.
think
Yeah.
that's his main, the main
Right,
point, is
right.
that we recognize the sacrifices that the member CSs have made over the years. I just want to clarify the initial statement when he said that it didn't specify it out.
Okay, very good. So I just am looking for a motion and a second. Motion by Lay, second by Chavez. Katie, how do you vote? Okay, board, all in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that's unanimous. All right, moving on to 804, presentation, discussion, and or action to approve updates to the adopted budget for fiscal year 24-25. Mr. Nguyen?
Thank you. If you don't mind, I'll just stay here. This is part 3 of what is required of us from the county. And this is the updated and multi-year projection along with the updated budget for approval.
So this is, how is this separate from the presentation that you just gave?
So this is the actual document that will go to the county as far as our actual budget. The multi-year projection on the presentation is a presentation.
I see. Okay. All right, then I just need a motion.
And these numbers include the resolution.
No, it doesn't.
It does not. So this is the projection that you saw in the previous presentation in the format required by the county. But again,
Okay.
no formal action has been taken for cuts going forward.
Sorry, I guess that was similar, a little different. This is attached to the resolution that we're submitting, or it's not attached to the resolutions?
It's not. This is our budget. And then you've approved the resolution. And so once we take action and actually enact the resolution, which will come at a later time, then it will then have an impact on our budget. And so we'll have to resend this at the first interim again with the budget, and then probably a new fiscal resolution as well.
So is this part of the October 8th request? I see. Okay. All right, did we get a motion? No, okay, I need a motion. Okay, so a motion by Lay, second by Chavez? Okay, Katie, how do you vote? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you. All right, moving on to nothing under 9, 10.01. Members of the public may address the board on any subject not on tonight's agenda. However, provisions of the Brown Act preclude any action. As an unagendized item, no response is required from the board or district staff, and no action can be taken. However, the board may instruct the superintendent to agendize the item for a future meeting. Any person may address the board on any item on the meeting agenda. Persons wishing to address the board may participate and comment as follows. In-person public comment may be made in person in the meeting room by filling out a public speaker request form at the room's main entrance. When your name is called, please come to the podium, state your name for the record. You may also raise your if you're online, you may raise your virtual hand in Zoom to request to speak and offer a comment in real time. You will have 2 minutes to speak. Persons may also fill out the speaker request form via online submission on the district's website. Comments should be limited to no more than 1,000 characters in length. Please reference in your submission the agenda item number for your comment. Your comment will be read out loud as part of the public meeting. We do have one speaker on 10.0. That's Mr. Pardo.
Julio Pardo, President 187 CSCA. So I have several items I need to speak on, and I think I might end up using the whole 5 minutes this time. But first of all, we had several comments from people regarding our last payroll. The district had gone ahead and made some changes. Although they had been discussed, they weren't really something that we had agreed to necessarily. And so we had quite a few people that had checks that they weren't expecting to get that were different. I'll put it that way. And based on what we were told, we believe that the calculations were not done correctly. We would like to have that. We'd like to go over the district exactly how those calculations were made and to listen to our comments as to why we think they were wrong. The other thing about this is that since we didn't really discuss this and come to an MOU on these changes, which is part of our contract, we have discussed with the district, and I've been informed that the district will revert back to the original method of determining how our payroll warrants are given to us at the end of the month. And we're expecting a letter from the district letting us know that that will be done. A second item in regards of what I discussed earlier regarding the number of classified employees that we have. I know the district also is looking at trying to save money this year by freezing certain positions, and one of those positions is custodial positions. Part of the reasoning there is that the district feels that because we have lost students, that we don't need as many custodians to clean up the different campuses at different sites. But I've asked people, are they still using the same rooms? Are they still using as many rooms as they used in the past? And in most cases, over half of them, the answer is yes. They are still using all the facilities. So I don't care if you have 5 kids in a room or if you have 50 kids in a room, someone has to clean it. And so if you reduce custodians, you don't have as many people there to keep the campuses clean, to keep the restrooms clean. And we all know the kind of complaints we get about student restrooms. That's one thing we want to make sure that we have enough people to cover all these areas. Because if you have less, you're going to wear them out. It's already happening on some sites. A lot of our sites are used quite a bit on weekends. And so we have to get people to go work those also. And after a while, people just burn out. So I'm asking the district to look at that again and reconsider how many of these custodians you can really not replace that have retired. The last thing I'd like to speak about is that I've been told that there are several people in the business area that are a little concerned about some changes that are to be made regarding how reimbursements or such are being made. And a lot of it is there's confusion as to exactly who is doing what job, how it's being done. And another question would be, why weren't they involved in any discussion on these decisions being made? And I understand that administration has the right to do the changes they want, but if you work for a large company, you usually try to get some kind of feedback from your people to say how they feel about certain changes. And administration can still make the changes they want, but at least give the people a chance to discuss it, to let them know their concerns as to what they feel should be done to help alleviate extra work they feel might be coming to them and to help make things run smoother. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you for those comments. Okay, moving on to 1101, Superintendent's Report and Update.
Trustee
Vanity?
Cortese, we have online
Oh, I'm
public
so
comment.
sorry. Okay, yes, okay, back to 10.01.
Online public comment from staff member Kathleen Leal. I'm writing to express deep concern over permitting the substitution of an AP Human Geography for World History. While human geography offers valuable insights into spatial and cultural trends, it lacks the historical foundation essential for civic understanding. World history covers critical events like world wars, the Holocaust, and the rise of totalitarian regimes, even that shaped the Western civilization and global politics. Without this knowledge, students miss vital lessons on the development of democracy, conflict, and the defense of freedom. As a U.S. history teacher, I've seen significant gaps in students' understanding of key historical events when they opt out of world history. They often lack awareness of totalitarianism, communism, and the roots of modern conflicts, undermining their civic literacy. In these times, understanding history is crucial to safeguarding democracy. I urge the board to reconsider supplanting world history by AP Human Geography. Thank you. There are no more online public comments.
Anyone on Zoom? Okay, thank you. Apologies for that oversight. Okay, Superintendent, back to 1101 with your report and update.
Yeah, I just want to inform the board that early last year, we took action for ESUHSD to do a study of our physical grounds and safety practices and things like that. And they have visited our sites and are working on the report. But I do want to mention, earlier this week, we sent out an email and we've sent it out various times to staff, students and community regarding threats that occur on Instagram or online or on social platforms. And sent out a letter basically saying, please do not. It interrupts the educational process of how people are feeling. There are students that say, hey, it was just a joke. They will not be treated as a joke. Each of these instances, and what's said here, will be investigated. If there's a disciplinary response, we will take it. I also need to know our community that we also refer each of these events to the San Jose Police Department, and they are investigated on that as well. And so we have had students recently suspended for sharing such message, even something not creating, but sharing them and attaching a school name to it. We've also had a number of students cited by the San Jose Police Department for their involvement. So if you do receive information like this, what we're asking on your phone, if you think there's a threat and you believe it's credible enough to cause you worry or concern, that is valid. What we are asking that if you have a concern like that, to take it to your administration and not just share it within Instagram or other platform, because it doesn't allow us, A, to begin an investigation to see if it's credible, B, to start collaborating with the police department who join us in that and sometimes do home visits in regards to these threats. But also 3, that it doesn't impact the learners around you. And so please, if you deem it's credible, please take it to administration or teacher that you trust who can take it to administration so we can begin the investigative process. But we were saying, do not share and do not attach your name to it, as it does create an inconvenience for others, insecurity, the need to investigate, and you're putting yourself and your ability to attend school at risk. So please refrain from that. Use your phone responsibly, fine. But please, if you have not read the letter or the email, please read it so you can see what we're talking about specifically and what we're asking students to refrain from doing.
Thank you. And that was a report only, so no action there. We're moving on to 1102, which is discussion and or action to receive the first reading of the Senior Manager of Internal Audit proposed annual audit work plan. Are there any comments from the board? This is a first reading, so if there's any feedback from any of my board colleagues?
I don't think so. I think the audit committee will meet next week,
On Tuesday, yeah.
Tuesday, September 23rd.
Okay, very good. Then we'll move on to 12.
We take the word of our internal auditor, Ms. Kelly Kwong.
1202, discussion and or action to receive the first reading of proposed amendments to board policy 5145.7 sexual harassment and to receive amendments to administrative regulation 5147.7. And so this is a first reading and this is an opportunity for us to give comments before it comes back. I do have a comment, but if any other board members, I need to find one. Does anyone else have any comments? So let me get caught up here. This is a first reading. My comment is, so the 45.7 board policy on sexual harassment talks about instruction and information. The superintendent or designee shall ensure that all district students receive age-appropriate information on sex discrimination and sex-based harassment, and lists what such instruction shall include. And I guess I don't need an answer right now, but what I would really like is a report, even brief, about what that looks like. Like what are we actually, what are we offering? When are we offering it? What is it every year to students? Is it 1 year, in their academic tenure with us? I know as an adult, I get training on this every single year for as long as I've been alive, basically, as long as I've been an adult, you know? So I do think it's imperative that we are offering this kind of instruction to students, because sometimes they come to us for discipline, and I want to make sure that they were aware of what the laws are and what the regulations are and boundaries are around this kind of behavior. So, I mean, if there's a quick answer, I would say go for it, but otherwise, you know, if you.
Yes,
dig
so
into
the-
it, that's fine.
Yeah, the quick answer is, we do, Title IX training for all students. We actually, because of the changes, started it this year. So it'll be an annual training that we do for students. So it's done at all schools as a school-wide lesson. Our equity and compliance Title IX coordinator, Clazel Sewell, in coordination with our consulting attorney for Title IX, has created a lesson that we have sent out to schools for them to share with the students.
Okay, so this is new this year?
This is new for us this year, yes.
Okay, all right, good to know, good to know. Yeah, thank you. What's that?
We had a 22-minute video we watched in fourth period today on title.
Today?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. All right. Very
Thank you for
good.
your report, Katie.
Very good. Good to know. Good to know. Okay, no report. There's the report I needed. There we go. All right. Any other comments, board or Katie, on this policy? Any-
So I'd like to thank Katie.
I think it was great that, I mean, this is the first time out of my 4 years that we've had something like this, where students were aware of what they could do in a situation. I do feel like, I don't know, speaking for my class only, there were some students who couldn't have the attention span to watch a 22-minute presentation. That's just something minor, but yeah, I think it was great because we have this time designated for school-wide lessons, and to do that, to teach students who they can go to is a good thing to do.
Did they also inform students about what behavior is not acceptable?
Sorry, there was a part of the video presentation talked about what constituted as sexual harassment and sex-based discrimination. And it basically went through what a report looks like, what adults you can go to, and what the adults do once they receive a report. So it's very informational.
Oh, very great. All right. Happy to hear that. Okay, so that is just a first reading. So if there are no other comments, we can move on to, let's see, that was 1201, right? So 1202, discussion and or action to receive and adopt the second reading of proposed amendments to Board Policy 5146 for married pregnant parenting students. This is a policy we reviewed at our last board meeting. So unless there are any other comments, I just need a motion.
Move for approval.
Okay, I have a motion by Doe, second by Chavez. Katie, how do you vote? All in favor, board?
Aye.
Okay, that's unanimous. 1203, discussion and or action to receive and adopt the second reading of proposed amendment to Board Policy 6159.1, procedural safeguards and complaints for special education. We also reviewed this at our last board meeting, so I just need a motion. Motion by Doe, second by Lay. Katie, how do you vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that's unanimous. 1204, discussion and or action to receive the first reading of proposed amendments to board policies in alignment with charter school authorization and renewal. Okay. This is a first reading, so this would be an opportunity for anyone to give input if there were suggestions for changes the board wants to see. Colleagues, any comments? Okay, we will move on then. That will come back to our next board meeting. 1301, discussion and or action to receive first reading of proposed amendments to board bylaws 9270, conflict of interest code. This is something that we just need to update our existing conflict of interest. So I just need a motion on this.
Move for approval.
Okay, moved by Doe, second by Chavez. Katie, how do you vote? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that's unanimous. 1302, discussion and or action to adopt resolution 2425-06, establishing appropriations for GAN spending limit. This is an annual routine.
Move for approval.
Okay, let's see, motion by Herrera, I think second by Lay. Is that right? Okay. Katie, how do you vote? All in favor? Aye. Okay, that's everybody. 1303, discussion and or action to approve the contracts for professional services over 25,000. Just need a motion. Okay, motion by Herrera. Second. I didn't hear who. Second by Lay? Okay. Katie, how do you vote? Okay, all in favor? Okay, that's unanimous. Nothing under 14. 1501, discussion and or action to approve the bond capital projects contracts over 50,000. I just need a motion. A motion by Chavez, second by Doe. Katie, how do you vote? All in favor? Okay, thank you. Me too. All right. That's unanimous. Now we are at the consent calendar. Just looking for a motion on the consent calendar.
Consent calendar.
Okay, motion by Herrera, second by Doe. Katie, how do you vote? All in favor? Aye, that's everybody. Okay, moving right along to 21 written reports. We have no written reports tonight. 2101, opportunity for Board of Trustees to request items for future agendas. Does anyone have any new requests?
201.
Sorry, 2201. Well, I don't know what I said, but that's yeah. Future agenda items. So if there's any requests, otherwise we can, okay, go
If I
ahead.
may. I'd like to circle back to the question that I asked from our CBO, but I think that question probably should be directed toward the district administrations rather than our CBO regarding attendance, whether there are different patterns of attendance and absentees at different school, and whether some school have done a better job in addressing that. Above and beyond like what you have mentioned earlier around income, but also there are best practice that other school can learn from. I'd love to have that report as a presentations.
So could we just generalize that as, I'm not sure I want to pit schools against each other, but just maybe just as a presentation on best practices around attendance.
I certainly don't,
absence.
I'm not trying to pit one school for the other, but I'm rather looking for best practice that we all can learn from. But I'm open to how the administration may want to perceive that. I'll proceed with that, excuse me.
Great. Okay, thank you. All right, so now we're moving up to 2301. This is where we hear from the Board of Trustees. I'll start to my left. This way.
No comment.
Well, I just want to say thank you to Principal of Andrew Hill, Jose Hernandez, along with his administrator, AP Long Jung, AP Tan Barreto, Advisor Hong Ha, especially President CSEA, Para Julio, educator, and as also with his crew, head custodian Rodney Sasatan, Nilis custodian Dino Hernandez Garcia, and parents, student, and over 100 volunteers with Teacher of Independence, helping the cultural performance, GOTC for Mount Pleasant VSA. And I'm really proud to say that we have congratulate the VSA of YB who won the second place and performed at the men program. VSA of Independence won the third place. VSA Andrew Hill won the fourth place. Special thanks to Board Trustee J. Manuel Herrera who attend the event, as well as the Superintendent Glenn Vanderzee who was there, and also who was one of the judge and took the time to be there at the men program and received the check from the organizing committee for 10,000 for McKinney Vento. So what I want to say that the whole East Side community will enjoy a successful event. And this is the first time that we organize at Andrew Hill. I couldn't say enough that we have a little detail, a little glitch, but we overcome all of the challenge. And the organizing committee really like Andrew Hill. So they were thinking to come back then next year. So, and I'm really glad that the organizing committee that really fundraise for the McKinney event. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Doe.
First of all, I'd like to thank staff for the presentation today, but also for our athletes for coming here. I always appreciate to celebrate our student success, whether it's sport or academics. So if you're a principal and you're proud of your students, please let us know, send us an email so that we can have opportunity to celebrate with your school and your students. And of course, I also want to recognize Mexican Independence Day a few days ago, September 16. Certainly appreciate the diversities and the contributions that our Mexican American students and staff have to Eastside Union. Thank you very much.
No comment, thank you.
I would just like to say that I'm very much looking forward to supporting and being with the Student Governing Board at their all-day orientation and training this Saturday, and that I'm just really impressed with the leadership of this board. I was with them on Monday when we had a very robust conversation about the budget. This is like the first board that has really dug into the budget the way this group has, and it's really, I'm impressed. So really appreciate your partnership in that. And with that, I'll turn it over to our Student Governing Board rep.
Thank you, Patty. I wanted to talk about something on a bit of an unrelated note, but one thing I've noticed this year around campus at my school is how improved everything feels this year. I know we have a new band room, which I love, and our new student union, and great lunch every day. And many of the students there were really appreciative of this new building. And I want to bring it to light that this project has really made our campus feel very new and exciting to see every day. So I wanted to thank the district and administration for making that happen, because we all love the student union.
And for our general public, you are at?
Sorry?
For our general public, can you let them know where you are?
Oh, I go to Independence.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Superintendent?
Okay, so thanks again, Andrew Hill, for hosting the Moon Festival, but I think we said, and Yerba Buena was second, right? And then Independence was third, Andrew Hill was fourth. Given the success of our student athletes, I think it's okay for us to recognize that Milpitas High School, not an East Side school, did win the dance competition. And we want to thank them for participating with us. So that's a fantastic thing. So thanks for the organizing committee for all we do for East Side, but also expanding to other VSAs as well. I also want to mention Ed Services does a fantastic job every year organizing the College and Career Night. Let's emphasize College and Career Night. And it is a district-wide event. It'll be at Independence High School, September 23rd. Look for the emails, look for the alerts. It'll start at 5, it goes through 8. There's classes on how do I get into college? How do I pay for college? What college is right for me? Do I just go for that brand, or do I find the right fit for me and my family? So please count on attending. There are large parking lots, but they fill up quick, so get there early. I want to thank Ed Services. I don't know if you know this, but I get a lot of calls from other districts asking if their students can attend, because the number of universities fills that gym with representation, and it's a fantastic event. There's QR code on here, find it. We'll get it on the web. It's on the website as well if you say where to look. So thanks for organizing a great event. We can't wait to attend on the 23rd of September.
Yeah, and I do just want to give kudos to the 3 leads who have really done a tremendous job on all that. That's my administrative assistant, Juliana Arella, our newest counseling subject area coordinator, Mildred Llanos Richards, and our director of communications, Sergio Luna. The 3 of them have been working diligently to ensure that we have a successful event prepared for Monday. So I just want to make sure that I shout them out.
Right, so there's a lot of great things going on the east side, and also please make sure you sign up for ESUHSD Proud on your Insta for all the communications that are coming out of all the good things happening on across our campuses. Just want to remind everybody that the action taken by the board tonight, while we are looking to address our fiscal future, that no action for specific cuts was taken tonight. But that we will have to engage as a district with all our partners, CSCA, SStat, AFT, with our teachers, students, and families, and engage around this issue. We are not the only district that's facing this kind of more expenditures than revenues over time, with declining enrollment, with increases in benefits costs. And I would just ask, if I can ask for this, that we engage each other early and problem solve. And if numbers aren't making sense to folks, let's talk those numbers out so that we can address our system as a whole. If facts are difficult, let's make sure we share those. If there's disagreements or differences of opinion, I think we can name those things and that's okay. But ultimately, we want to do what's best for staff, students, and our families and making sure that this district stays viable now and in the future. And so I'm looking forward to that process and welcoming people for positive collaboration around this.
Thank you. Okay, 2401 Legal Counsel, do you have a report on closed session?
Yes, I do. Closed session item 2.04. A motion by member Herrera, second by member Lay. The board unanimously approved the appointment of Philip James Gedeon as coordinator of charter schools oversight. Closed session item 2.08. In the matter of Rowe versus Eastside Union High School District, case number 22CV 409-276. After a motion by member Chavez and second by member Doe, the board approved a settlement agreement and mutual release of all claims in that matter, which includes the payment by the district of $150,000 to the plaintiff, and also includes a release of all claims and a dismissal of the lawsuit with prejudice. A copy of the settlement agreement is available through the district upon request. There are no further reportable actions.
Okay, thank you, council. A reminder that our next regular board meeting will be October 17th, which is a few weeks from now. And in the meantime, be safe and this meeting is adjourned.